In today's Leeds news, Kinnears Leeds exit, Marathe on stadium expansion, Leeds Future and Red Bull. Marcus Edwards speaks about Leeds, and Leeds keen to keep Solomon. Morning folks, how y'all doing? Jer here on Thursday morning, the 27th of February with your Leeds United news. Hope your week is going well so far. We did an interview with Ian Hart last night on the podcast talking about his career, his transition to being an agent, advice for young kids, as well as news around the Leeds United Legends game, as Jermaine Beckford has now been announced as the latest player coming to Bray to take part in the Legends game on May 10th. Details on that are in the podcast. You can check that out along with links for tickets as well. We will crack on and get into the news today because there is a little bit of stuff to get stuck into. There will be a match day preview tonight with myself and Andrew Stats Dalton after 6. Keep an eye out for that. But we'll start with Angus Kinnear's situation at the club. And a few weeks back, a rumour circulated that Leeds United CEO Angus Kinnear was set to join Everton, or at the very least was part of a list of potential CEOs that Everton would like to speak to. Yesterday there was a report in the Daily Mail, who have been pretty much close to Leeds United owners 49ers since their takeover, that said that Angus Kinnear will leave Leeds United at the end of the season and move to Everton Football Club. The report says that the Leeds United's chief executive is set to join Everton but won't go there until the full season has wrapped up. Everton have operated without a CEO for the past 2 years, with pretty much no success by doing that, and the Friedkin Group, who've recently taken them over, are keen to rectify that situation, and they see Angus Kinnear as the perfect part of their team. The report goes on to say that Kinnear himself is said to be keen to remain at Leeds United until the end of the season and see promotion happen, which would remove or rectify the black mark on his copybook with the Leeds relegation down the line. It looks better to leave a promoted side than it does to leave a relegated side, so you can understand it from that perspective. But Kinnear has an open-ended contract at Leeds United, which means discussions between both parties would need to take place before Kinnear could depart Leeds. Kinnear has been at Leeds since 2017 and would be seen as the last piece of the Radrizzani era to depart Leeds, or at least the visible face of the Radrizzani era to move on. And BBC's Adam Pope yesterday on X shared that Leeds United currently have no comment to make on the story regarding Kinnear. You do get the feeling though at this point the partnership has probably ran its course and the 49ers are looking to bring in their own CEO into the club, as the transition period between them taking over fully and now has moved on quite significantly. You would imagine going into the Premier League they'll want their own people in place for that. But Parag Marathe has been speaking, and there are our next couple of stories to get into now. Speaking on the stadium expansion, Leeds United chairman Parag Marathe was discussing several topics with the Financial Times yesterday in a report that's come out. The interview was recorded a couple of weeks ago, but the information is starting to come out now. And one of the topics was the Elland Road expansion. Marathe has consistently said that it is vitally important for him and the ownership to make sure that they retain Elland Road's unique and aggressive atmosphere in whatever they do, and in this interview he's doubled down on that yet again. Speaking to the Financial Times on Elland Road's expansion, Parag Marathe said the following: "Our goal is to expand Elland Road. There will probably be a couple of phases that ultimately will take us to 53,000. The first phase will likely take us to 47,000 and then up to 53,000. Of paramount importance is to keep the cauldron and electricity of the stadium that as it is today. Elland Road is a stadium that managers and players of other clubs don't like playing at. It's been called a cauldron and a hurricane of noise. It's really important for us to get more of our supporters into the stadium and make it even more difficult for other clubs to come and play in. But we want to preserve some of the magic of Elland Road. We've done a lot of the pre-development work in picking architects and working with local council. There are probably some announcements to come, and I'm really excited about that. As I say, he's been relatively consistent about the plans for Elland Road and what their goal for Elland Road is, and the scenes over the last couple of weeks, the volume in Elland Road and the atmosphere on the ground as the fans start to relax a little bit more as promotion looks closer and closer to a reality, adds to the fact that if Leeds can get more fans into the stadium, general admission tickets as well, that's only likely to get louder if they can keep the design to maintain that atmosphere within the stadium. So it's an interesting one. But he was also talking about what he sees as the Leeds United future and Red Bull's involvement. And as mentioned, speaking to the Financial Times in the interview, He didn't really say an awful lot about Glasgow Rangers, but there's a little bit of that, and we'll cover that in a few minutes' time. But shared by Adam Pope yesterday on X, Marathe spoke about his plans for Leeds United and Red Bull's involvement moving forward. That might put some of the concerns of fans to bed, at least in the short to medium term, maybe not the long term. On the current feeling of Leeds United, Marathe said that the ownership had unfinished business, and he went on to say the following. Unfinished business, so much potential, so many places we want to take the club, and I feel really optimistic about where we are going. Hopefully in a few months we get back to where we want to be and take off from there. Marathe went on to talk about the financial approach of the club and Red Bull's involvement, saying the following. We want to be pushing the limits of PSR. Staying within the rules is what we want to do. A winning club is a healthy club. We want to put every pound back into this team. Red Bull Sports have done a phenomenal job in terms of performance and how they operate their sports business. When they first approached me, they completely understood what it means to be Leeds United Football Club, and it has the potential to be right up there with European giants. Asked about the Red Bull potential of buying Leeds United, Marathe said this. We brought them in as partners and minority investors. A sale that is not contemplated at all. It is not something we have ever discussed. Marathe confirmed that there are no provisions or options in the current deal with Red Bull to allow them to purchase the club. And if you go back to when the 49ers first came into Leeds United, they did have an option within their deal with Andrea Radrizzani that allowed them to purchase Leeds United within a certain time frame, and they did so in the final year of that agreement. So right now there is no provisions, no options in the deal for Red Bull to buy Leeds, and there is no plan for the 49ers to sell to Red Bull right now. And as he said, it hasn't been discussed, it hasn't been brought up. Red Bull's model appears to have changed over the last couple of years. Moving on then, he did speak about Rangers briefly, or at least the topic of it, and he said the following. We always have our eyes and ears open and look for opportunities. Leeds United stands alone. If we were to look at another club, that would also stand alone. What you can share and do in sporting terms, we haven't looked at one club as being a feeder club. On Rangers itself, he said the following. I can't comment on rumours. We have been looking at other clubs, and we are looking at clubs with potential for growth. Whether Rangers or any club in Scotland has that potential for growth remains to be seen due to the TV rights and money that's available in Scotland. And as Simon Jordan has talked extensively about this, you can sell as many t-shirts and jerseys as you want, but the match day revenue you bring in from TV money is far more important, and that's where the bulk of the money in the Premier League comes from. And currently in Scotland, I think the entire Scottish League earns what one club earns in the Premier League from TV rights. So that's a problem. But Marathe did finish off by saying that he never realised how much he'd fall in love with Leeds United after inheriting what he described as a challenging portfolio with a substantial credit card bill. But he said what's important is sustained success for Leeds United. So they've got a very, very keen ambition for the club, which is nice to hear. Actions speak louder than words. We'll see in the summer what that looks like when Leeds will need to invest in this team to get it up to Premier League level, to not be scrapping around the bottom end of the league. Moving on, let's talk about Marcus Edwards and a very strange story that's come out today, but I wanted to share with you to just get your thoughts on it as well. But Marcus Edwards was an interesting signing by Burnley during the winter window, and it caught an awful lot of people off guard. A Champions League level player playing in the Championship mid-season, which was an odd situation, but apparently Edwards himself was open to a move to Leeds United, and Burnley sporting director was speaking about it in a kind of a documentary video they made about the signing of Marcus Edwards, and Leeds were name checked in this. In a short documentary style video about the signing of Marcus Edwards, sporting director George Foster Vickers said that when he spoke to Edwards, his agent claimed he was open to a move to Leeds United. Foster Vickers on the situation said the following. The main target we all were trying to push for in the winter is Edwards on loan from Sporting. He has got options, bottom of the Premier League, but he doesn't want to go into a dogfight relegation team. He wants to come and try to be part of something positive. He would consider Leeds, Sunderland or us teams that are challenging for promotion. Now, Daniel Farke has spoken extensively about the fact that he wouldn't bring anybody in unless they made the team better. You could argue that Marcus Edwards definitely would have added more quality to this Leeds United side. But Daniel Farke has also said that Leeds would never guarantee loanee players minutes, and that may be a factor in this. But the bigger factor in this is a simple factor of at no point have Leeds been named with an interest in Marcus Edwards, and it's very probable that Leeds didn't even make an inquiry about Marcus Edwards and have no interest in the player at all during the winter window, and this appears to be very much coming from the player's side and what he would have considered a move should he move in winter, which he did, and headed to Burnley. So might be one to revisit in the summer. He's a good player, Marcus Edwards. Premier League level remains to be seen, but yeah, he's a very, 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 very good player. Maybe it's something that Leeds revisit in the summer if they don't get the players that they want, which brings us on to our final story today, and that's Manor Solomon. And nobody will be surprised today by news about around Manor Solomon. And according to reports from Fabrizio Romano, Leeds United are keen to hold on to Manor Solomon beyond the end of this season. Solomon is deemed surplus to requirements at Tottenham Hotspur, so a sale could be likely. Romano told Give Me Sports that Leeds want to hold on to Solomon, saying the following: Leeds want to try and keep the player, but they will need to get promoted. There will be more clubs interested from the Premier League. At the moment, it's not something advanced. The player is focused on events on the pitch, so there's nothing really concrete, but the interest from Leeds to make this deal is absolutely there. There was also interest from Italy before he joined Leeds United, but for sure Leeds will try in the summer. It makes sense. He's had a good season for Leeds. He's definitely Premier League quality. He's proven that by being in the Premier League. His injuries curtailed that. If he goes injury-free for the remainder of this season, it would make sense for Leeds United to try and go and make that deal permanent and try and keep the better players within this squad with this team next year for continuity moving up and not have to replace everyone in the squad, which they don't need to. But, that can happen. Look at Nottingham Forest. Folks, that'll be it for me for today's news. Back tonight with Andrew Stats Dalton for the preview of the West Brom game at the weekend. And you can check out the Ian Hart interview from yesterday. It's about 30 minutes long. Details down below. And you can click on that and it will bring you to the video. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. See ya. Bye.